I'm not sure there's a more tortured soul in golf right now than Keegan Bradley, the 2025 Ryder Cup captain, longtime PGA Tour player, major champion, won the 2011 PGA, one of the four professional majors out there. Golf will destroy you and lift you up within the same round several times, let alone throughout your entire life. It is the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. There are good breaks, there are bad breaks, but you got to play the ball where it lies. And obviously, as the captain of the Ryder Cup team, it was a disappointing, bitter pill to swallow for Keegan, who went through so much of what he thought was the right things to do to get this team ready to win their first Ryder Cup since taking down the Euros at Whistling Straits in 2021 after the devastating loss in 2023. And let's be honest about it. The U.S. Ryder Cup team has struggled mightily. Since 2008, we've only won this thing 3 times. We won it 2008 at Valhalla, 2016 at Hazeltine, and 2021 at Whistling Straits. We've lost every other time, and the last win before 2008 was 1999. So the Europeans have dominated. So if you're the Ryder Cup captain, you pour your heart and soul into this. And it was especially difficult for Keegan because he's still playing well enough to have been a member of not only this Ryder Cup team, but the previous Ryder Cup team in 2023. So it was the Travelers Championship Media Day this week, and Keegan is considered, for lack of a better term, the local PGA Tour professional. Now, the Travelers is held in Cromwell, Connecticut, right outside Hartford. Keegan is a Massachusetts native. His aunt was a legendary player on the LPGA Tour. So he's sort of their local guy, and he's managed to win this thing a couple of times over the last few years. So he's the guy they bring in. And he always said when he was growing up, the Travelers was his hometown tournament. So these are some of the quotes that he had talking about the Ryder Cup experience at the Travelers Media Day. And I just think it's a window into his soul and where he is right now. He said, you put so much into it and have all this planning. In the first 2 days, it went as poorly as we could have ever thought. And then we had that amazing rally on Sunday. And here's the best part, or the most interesting part to me. There's no part of me that thinks I'll get over this. Since the Ryder Cup till now has been one of the toughest times of my life. I'll forever wonder and wish that I had a chance to play there. The first practice day, I was out on the tee, and I was watching the guys walk down the fairway all together, and I said, I wish I was playing. That's what it's about. I'm missing out. But then he said by the second or third day, because of the captaincy and the way it was going, I was exhausted. It's a good thing I'm not playing. I was so physically exhausted. Good thing I didn't do it because I would have been bad. I just didn't think I could do both jobs. And he finished with this. I really would enjoy playing in one more. I don't know if I'll get the chance. This effing event has been so brutal to me. I don't know if I want to play. No, I do. It's just a weird thing to love something so much that just doesn't give you anything. Man, if that's not a window into a tortured soul, I don't know what is. Now, I know Keegan a little bit. I'm not going to say we're friends. We've had conversations. We've been, we've had some interactions. But this is telling you just how brutal this whole thing has been for him. And look, there are some things that he did that were questionable, right? And we've talked about him on this podcast with myself and all the guests that we had on about the Ryder Cup, whether it was Brandel Chambly or Mark Rolfing or Colt Knost. The pairing of Harris, English, and Colin Morikawa and sending him out twice, that was a bad idea. The idea of not playing guys like Sam Burns and J.J. Spawn, who are incredible putters, and foursomes or alternate shot. I think those are legitimate things that you can question Keegan on. But the one thing you can't question Keegan on is his desire and his motivation to win a Ryder Cup for the United States. And that's what makes what happened at Bethpage Black a few weekends ago so disappointing. And the other part of this, which is hard for Keegan, is that he's kind of been effed by the last 2 Ryder Cup experiences. I think a lot of people were shocked in 2023 when he wasn't chosen by Zach Johnson to play for the Americans that lost to the Europeans in Rome. He was one of our top 12 players. He has been extremely competitive. The Keegan Bradley stare, if you ever see him when he has a putter in his hand, he's looking like this. I mean, he's an intense motherfucker, okay? Perfect kind of player for Ryder Cup. He has a winning record as a Ryder Cup player in the 2 matches that he played in 2012 and 2014. 4 wins, 3 losses, not a single match halved in the times that he went out there. So I think it really got to him that he wasn't chosen for 2023 as a player when he was still very much at the peak of his career. And so he wasn't chosen by Zach Johnson to play in 2023, and that clearly burned inside of him, and it really upset him. So he gets to 2025, and this is, of course, when he's in his early 40s, and they make him Ryder Cup captain for 2025 because I think a lot of people thought, hey, okay, we didn't choose him as a player in 2023. That was a mistake. That's on us. How can we make it up to Keegan? How can we make this up to Keegan? Well, let's make him the captain for 2025. And then what happened? Over the next 2 years in 2024 and 2025, I think Scottie Scheffler is the only player on the PGA Tour that won more times than Keegan Bradley. And he had that amazing comeback at the Travelers this past year, where Tommy Fleetwood, who still had not broken through yet with that first win on American soil or as a member of at a PGA Tour event, completely messed it up down the stretch, and Keegan won that thing for the second time, I think, in 3 years. Again, his home championship. And there he was within the top 12 of the people for the United States team in the point standings. Now, the first 6 are the only ones that automatically qualify, and then it's captain's picks. So you could make an argument that he absolutely should have been playing in the 2025 Ryder Cup as a player. And one of the reasons he wasn't playing was because they wanted to make it up to him for not being a player in the 2023 Ryder Cup. So he kind of got boned, effed, screwed by the Ryder Cup twice. He absolutely should have been on the 2023 team. And he was playing absolutely well enough and strong enough and consistently enough to be a player for the 2025 Ryder Cup team. And, you know, I think if he had automatically qualified, if he had been one of the top 6, I think he was around 9 or 10. If he had been in the top 6, I think he would have played. But he had to make a decision. And when he announced his captain's picks, again, you get 6 automatic and 6 captain's picks, he didn't pick himself. And the reason he didn't pick himself, I thought, was so telling about who he is as a person, who he is as a player, and who he is as a competitor. He basically said, they asked me to do a job. They hired me to do the job, and the job was to be the captain. And he came to the realization and the conclusion that for him to do the best job he possibly could, he could not simultaneously play and be a captain. And you go read those quotes again today. I wanted to be out there. I wanted to be there. I wanted to do this. You know, I was watching those guys on the first tee. I was thinking, I should be out there. I should be out there. That's what it's all about. I'm missing out. Yet when push came to shove, because of the responsibility that they had given him to be the captain, he had to sort of, for lack of a better term, subdue the id, quell the ego, and sort of acquiesce to what they asked him to do, was to be the captain and not a player. And that is brutal. It's just brutal, because twice now this event, again, which it means so much to him. And again, he's had a winning record in this thing. 4 wins, 3 losses in his 2 previous Ryder Cup appearances. He got screwed in 2023 by not playing. So to make it up to him, they made him the captain. And by making him the captain, they kind of screwed him again. And that's just tough. That is tough to take. And now, you know, he'll be in his closer to his mid-40s in 2027 at Adair Manor. Could he still be a solid player? Yes, we've seen many players, especially recently on the European side, be very effective Ryder Cup players in their early to mid-40s. Hell, look at Justin Rose this past time around. The last few times for Ian Poulter as a member of the European Ryder Cup team in his latter stages. Still a very, very, very effective Ryder Cup player. But with all the things that come with being a captain, he just couldn't find a way. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do the thing that he wanted to do so badly, because it would be a disservice in his mind to the job that they had hired him to do. And that last line is just, it's heartbreaking. I really would have enjoyed I really would enjoy playing in one more. I don't know if I'll get the chance. This effing event has been so brutal to me. I don't know if I want to play. And then he's right away, no, I do. It's just such a weird thing to love something so much that doesn't give you anything. Look, man, I hope that he's playing well enough by the time we make the announcement of who's on the team in 2027 that he's on that squad. Now, look, if he's not playing well enough, there's no reason to make him a ceremonial pick. Let's just be honest about it, because we need to win the fucking thing. Okay, we need to win the fucking thing, and we're really terrible at winning the fucking thing. I do believe he would have helped us at Rome. I certainly believe he was one of the top 12 match play players the United States had going for them heading into Bethpage Black. But because of the responsibility that he felt he had been given, he couldn't do that. He couldn't shortchange his responsibilities as the captain by making himself a player. And look, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are like, what the hell did it matter? We got our asses kicked and we had to hang on and we had a great rally, but we still didn't get it done. So what good was it that he was the captain anyway? That doesn't mean you don't invest things in this. That doesn't mean you don't pour your heart and soul into this. I'm sure there are certain captains that didn't and haven't and wouldn't in the past put the time and energy that Keegan put into this. But just because the result was wrong, and the result came up short again for the United States, that doesn't mean Keegan didn't fucking try his hardest here. He made some bad decisions, and we've talked about that here. That comes with the process. But I'm not sure anything that he would have changed would have made a difference with the way the Europeans were playing. They were just better. They were just better. In some of those matches, the U.S. team was 5, 6, 7 under par, and they lost because the Europeans were 7, 8, 9 under par. Trent Dilfer once told me there's no defense for a perfect throw. And if you're making pars and birdies, but the other guys are making birdies and eagles, there's nothing you can do. You can't play defense. So in golf, I don't know if there's anything that he would have done differently that would have changed the outcome because of how well the Europeans were playing. And because it does mean more to them. I don't care what anybody says. In this event, it does. It means more to them. You're not going to hear U.S. players saying, I would give up a major championship to secure the winning putt for the Ryder Cup, which is basically an exhibition. It's the coolest, cruelest, most hostile, competitive exhibition there ever is, maybe in all of sport. But would any American player say what Shane Lowry said? I've won the Open in Ireland, or Northern Ireland, and he is Irish, and this means more to me. This means more to me. I don't think there's an American player that would say that. Maybe Keegan would at this point, after all the heartbreak he's had over the last couple of seasons, or last couple of times the Ryder Cup team has been put together. So these are the kind of things that haunt people. They haunt them. Most players in any sport will tell you about the losses before they tell you about their wins. They are haunted by the mistakes that they made, or the shots or the plays they couldn't pull off, more than their trophies, their championships, and the things they won. They don't remember those things. The best competitors, when you ask them about winning, they're like, I think I did this, but hey, what happened when you didn't make the playoff at Doral in 21? Well, I flubbed a chip and then I misread the putt. I mean, they'll tell you everything. This thing is going to stick with him for the rest of his life, as he just said. The only way it could possibly be made better is for him to have an opportunity to play. But then it becomes even more cruel. Let's say he plays. Let's say he plays his way onto the team in 2027. If he doesn't play well, it doesn't matter again. And that will continue to haunt him because he knows he was a better player probably in 2023 and 2025 than he's likely to be in 2027. So even if he makes the team, and God bless it, I hope he does, for him to have a shot at redemption. Because making the team will only give him a shot at redemption. It's not a guarantee for redemption. Hell, we haven't won on European soil, the Americans, since 1993. The people producing this podcast probably weren't even born. I'm talking to you, Duncan, and everybody else. Michaela, everybody else. Katrina. It's been a while, okay? It's been a while. So the odds of us going over there and winning when we haven't done that in almost 30 years, are very small. So even if he makes the team, even if he somehow finds his way to be on that team, and I hope he does, it won't matter if they don't win, or if he goes 0-4 or 0-3 in how many matches he comes out there. This will haunt him for the rest of his life unless he can find a way to not only get on that team, but be a contributing member of a team that wins on European soil for the first time since the Belfry in 1993. And the only thing we got going for us in this is that Adair Manor, if you look at it, it might be the most U.S.-friendly European Ryder Cup setup ever. The K Club in the mid-2000s in Ireland was also very U.S.-friendly, and we got our asses kicked there too. It wasn't even close. We got blown out when that Ryder Cup happened. But Adair Manor is not Royal Portrush. It's not the Belfry. It's not, the Old Course. It's not Muirfield. It's not these traditional old-style links golf courses where the Europeans play the ball on the ground and we as American players play it in the air. It's a very different type of golf. Adair Manor is very much a course set up to play American-style golf, U.S.-style golf, PGA Tour style golf. So you hope that he makes the team, and you hope that not only that he makes the team, but he can be a contributor in a winning way to a winning team. Because making the team and getting the opportunity in 2027 won't take away this pain. Winning as a part of that 2027 U.S. team will ease this pain a little bit. But the brutal part of this is just the way it all went down. He should have been on the 2023 team. And they tried to do him a solid by making him the captain in 2025. And they kind of screwed him again. And that's a hard thing to swallow. And here's hoping that in 2 years' time, Keegan Bradley will find a way to continue to play as well as he's played over the last 4 years, make that team, and be a part of a U.S. squad that wins on foreign soil for the first time since 1993. Everyone loves a Hollywood ending. What better Hollywood ending than that? To see Keegan Bradley be there celebrating in Champagne as a part of that team at 2027 at Adair Manor in Ireland. I have no idea if it's going to happen. I have no idea if he can keep playing this well as long as he can. But wouldn't that be the greatest thing in the world? That would be the capper of all cappers for this tumultuous journey over the last 4 or 5 years for Keegan Bradley. Here's hoping he gets that chance. And that's straight facts, homie.